So today's video is actually all about some of the worst makeup I've tried over the last few months. I know some people love these videos, some people hate them. Honestly, I think they're a necessary part of what I do here on YouTube. I share so many videos on the products I love and recommend that I think it's also important to share products that did not work for me. Now, obviously, these products could work for you. If your skin type is different, if your preferences are different, even if your technique with the way that you apply makeup is different, you might actually have a different experience than me. And honestly, I wish I loved these products because I spent my money on them. And I never try a product hoping to dislike it. But inevitably, with what I do here on YouTube, I test out hundreds of makeup products. There are going to be things that don't work for me, but also some products that I just think are poor quality products and not worth the money. I wanted to share some alternatives in today's video. So if I'm talking about a product I don't like, I'll share something that I like instead, just in case you are looking for an alternative. But I have a lot of products to talk about, maybe not a ton, like I would say under 10, but usually these videos take a little bit of time because I'm sharing what I don't like and what I recommend instead. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start with this product from Essence. I love Essence mascaras, but they have so many mascaras that inevitably at some point I'm going to try one that doesn't work well for me. One of you suggested I do a video actually testing every Essence mascara, which I've thought about, but I think they have like 15 or 16 different formulas, some super high number. Anyway, I tried this one a couple of months ago and I told you I would report back after it had the chance to dry out a little bit because it is such a wet mascara. And sometimes really wet formulas actually perform better after a month or two. So this is the Call Me Queen Dramatic False Lash Effect Mascara. This is an incredibly wet mascara. It took like almost 3 months for this to dry out to the point where I really truly found it to be super usable. I wasn't using it every single day in that time frame because I really just don't like this mascara, to be honest with you. So if you're someone who's using it every day, opening it, closing it, applying it, it might dry out a little bit faster. And in that case, it could be usable a little bit sooner for you. Or maybe you just like a super wet formula. I guess for me, it's not necessarily just the wet formula. The wet formula does make a little bit of a mess and it makes it hard to build up, but it's the super bendy wand. This is such a flexible mascara wand that it just makes it hard to apply this to the lashes. When I go to press this onto my lashes, it just like bends back and hits my lid and gets all over my eye every single time. And because I love eyeshadow, I usually take a little bit of time to do eyeshadow, and a little bit of mascara on the lid isn't the end of the world because I'll just take a Q-tip and kind of wipe it off once it dries. But because this is so wet and the wand is so flexible, I get it all over every single time. That could be like a me issue. Maybe you won't have that issue if you're a little bit more careful when you apply your mascara, but every single time I use this, I just wish I used a different one. If you have the same experience as me and you're looking for another mascara from Essence, because they do have a ton of great options, I love that they actually have affordable mascaras. I would recommend the Lash Without Limits. This one gives a similar look in that it lengthens the lashes really well. It's also a very wet formula, and I do tend to prefer wet formulas, but it's not quite as wet as the Call Me Queen. I also think this one is better. It is bendy, but not to the same degree as the other one, and I just prefer the way this one layers on the lashes better. It's easier to apply, easier to build up, and I just don't experience like the same messy application with this one. This one also comes in brown, which is nice. I personally love the Lash Princess mascaras. The Curl and Volume and the False Lash Effect are my personal favorites. I know some people don't like these. Again, very wet formulas. This wand actually doesn't bend at all, and I think that just comes down to personal preference. If you like a flexible wand because you like to be able to hit like the outer corners and you like it to move a little bit, you might like the Call Me Queen. But if you prefer something that just this isn't even something that I've really thought about in the past, but if you prefer a wand that kind of stays in place, because in my opinion, that makes it easier to build up, the Lash Princess might be the one for you. Some people have said this smudges on them. I've personally never experienced that, but if that's been the case for you, you might like the Lash Without Limits. Let's stick with the topic of eye products. So I picked up this quad from Covergirl. I thought the colors were really beautiful. I will say online, this looked slightly more vibrant than it actually does in person. So I picked it up based on the online photo. And then I got it in person and I was like, okay, it's a little bit underwhelming. I can make this work for me. Like a few of the shadows in here are not the worst shadows I've ever tried, but to be honest with you, the quality feels like an early 2010s formula. Both the shimmers and the matte shadows are pretty chalky. They feel kind of dry. They blend out okay, but they do lack a lot of pigment. So in general, you're going to get a very soft, very natural look, which might be for you, might not be for you. It kind of depends on what you typically go for. I know they have a few other quads. This one specifically is Bellini Spritz, and I got this one from Ulta, and at the time, this was the only one they had available on their website, but I Googled it, and it looks like there are other quads available at other retailers. So I can't really speak on all of them, just this one in particular. I haven't decluttered it yet because occasionally I'll reach for it if I really want like this peach tone right here or this pink tone. I feel like I try to make it work for me. But honestly, I have a drawer full of eyeshadow and pretty much every single formula in there is better than this one. I was kind of surprised by this one because a couple of years ago, they launched these clean color quads and these are so much better. These are a little bit more expensive, but the quality is significantly higher than this other quad right here. I just pulled two of the ones out that I have. I feel like between these two, there are some similar tones, so I'll swatch these for you. These are a little bit powdery, but the shadows themselves are much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they just look a little bit richer on the eyes. The metallic and even like glittery shades in here look very vibrant, really beautiful. The matte shadows are extremely blendable, so gorgeous. So if you don't mind a little bit of powderiness, I think you would really enjoy this. They don't feel chalky in the way this one does. They definitely have more of a creamy texture to them. So if you are looking to buy an eyeshadow palette or an eyeshadow quad from ColourPop, I would stick with these rather than their eye enhancer quads. I have another eyeshadow formula to share with you, but this one is a high-end formula. So I did talk about these in a recent video. I did a video on, I can't remember what it was. It was a speed reviews video on like a lot of new high-end viral products I've tried out. And I shared like a couple of different categories. I originally put these in the category of makeup I like, but I don't think is worth the price. And honestly, the more I use them, the more that I think about them, I really just don't recommend buying them because number one, the price point is way too high. And number two, the quality just isn't fully there. Even though they look pretty on the eyes and I can make them work for me, I've incorporated them into a few different looks. I can't recommend them for the price when there are other alternatives out there that are so much better. So these are from Too Faced. They are the Disco Crush Glitter Eyeshadows. They're sold as single shadows. They're $30 each. We've talked about this on my channel and in the comments of some of my videos. Brands are getting so comfortable charging exorbitant prices for makeup, but especially eyeshadow. Eyeshadow palettes these days, like the new norm is $70. Palettes used to be like $45, now they're $70. And I have purchased my fair share of high-end expensive palettes, but $30 for a single shadow that does not even perform that well is outrageous. I really can't recommend it. Here's the thing. These do look really pretty on the eyes. Like if you do your eye look and then you take one of these shadows and place it all over the lid, they do look gorgeous. They're sparkly, they're glittery, they're metallic, like they're everything that you might want in a sparkly shadow. But there's also a ton of fallout. They do fade a little bit throughout the day and they actually fall on your face throughout the day. So if you go in with a sticky base or a glitter glue, you're going to have a little bit better of an experience and they'll last a little bit longer on the eyes. But I still feel like there's something missing. Like when you touch this shadow, it feels a little bit gritty. I almost think it needs to have like a smoother, creamier base. And I personally feel like it should stay on the eyes a little bit better than it does. The packaging does feel a little bit cheap for the price. It's just like this clear plastic packaging, which I don't really know exactly what I would expect them to put them in, but I did read some reviews online after I shared my initial thoughts on these, and some people said that theirs arrived broken or they broke very easily. So I do think these are kind of fragile. One of the ones I have kind of has like a slight crack in it. I haven't traveled with these or anything. I feel like they've just been sitting in my makeup collection. I've had my fair share of high-end makeup products crack or break, but again, for $30, I just feel like they should be in more protective packaging. Truthfully, you probably have some gorgeous shadows in your collection that would look very similar. Even these Covergirl quads, like these sparkly shadows, actually feel and look very close to the Too Faced ones. If you love like a glittery single shadow, the Urban Decay Moon Dust shadows have gone viral for a reason. They really are the best in my opinion, but they're still pretty pricey at $25 each. I will say I got this quad from Sephora not too long ago. It's the Moon Dust Space Cowboy Quad. This was a holiday launch, and I love the idea of the moon dust shadows, but typically I won't buy these at the full price. I wait for like an Ulta sale or a Sephora sale or my Ulta points, but I thought this was a pretty good deal. For $39, you get 4 shadows. These are slightly smaller than the single moon dust shadows, but they're actually the exact same size as these two face shadows, which is so wild to me because you can buy one Too Faced shadow for $30, or for $9 more, you can get 4 different shadows. You'd have to spend $120 on the Too Faced shadows to get the same amount of product as you get in this Urban Decay quad. So this is a great option if you're looking for a little bit of a deal on a higher end shadow. But honestly, the ColourPop Super Shock shadows, in my personal opinion, give the exact same effect on the eyes. I know some people don't like this because it is more of like a cream to powder formula. I personally love this formula. I actually reach for these over Urban Decay most of the time. I'm wearing one on my eyes today. I'm actually wearing a combo. So I have the Super Shock shadow in Ritz with a little bit of the Moon Dust shadow on top. So I like the way they look layered together. The ColourPop ones, in my opinion, are a lot more vibrant. So if you like the idea of like pretty shades and more of a vibrant effect, which is what the Too Faced ones give compared to Urban Decay, I feel like ColourPop could be a really good alternative. Speaking of ColourPop, I do have a newer ColourPop product that did not work for me. So I just filmed a video, by the way, on new drugstore makeup products I love. If you want to hear about some things that did work for me, I'll link that video below. But I tried their new Power Pout lipstick formula and I just wasn't a fan. This could come down to personal preference. I actually read a few comments on some of my recent videos from some of you saying you really enjoy this. So I feel like there is a market for this formula. I guess I personally don't fall into that. First of all, these are $10, which is not the most expensive drugstore lipstick, but also not the most affordable. There are other alternatives out there that are a little bit less expensive. For $10, I feel like the packaging could have been a little bit better. ColourPop has like their Luxe lipstick line, and that packaging feels really nice, a little bit more luxurious. This feels super cheap. Like it's very lightweight. And even when you open it up and kind of roll it up, like I just think overall, it honestly feels like something you might find at like the dollar store, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not a packaging snob by any means. It's just something I want to point out since I'm reviewing the product. Just a pet peeve of mine, I don't like how you can't see the color from the outside. Even high-end brands do that, but I feel like a nice colorful lipstick or like a clear or a colorful sticker or like a clear opening on top would be so much better. I hate when I'm like digging through my lipstick and I can't see the color because honestly, I'm a lot less likely to reach for it if I don't know what shade it is. So just something that's personal preference. As for the actual formula, this goes on nicely initially. It's very smooth as you apply it. It has really good pigment. It is a matte formula, but right away it feels pretty good. Their whole claim with this is that it dries down and it locks into place and it's transfer proof. And I will say that claim is absolutely true. But as this dries down, it loses that comfortable feeling. It starts to feel a little bit sticky, kind of tacky, very uncomfortable, very dry. And once it fully dries down, it reminds me of like an old school liquid lipstick. If you press your lips together, they feel like a little bit sticky. It honestly enhances every single line on my lips. And I never really think that I have like super lined lips or super dry looking lips. But when I wore this product, I was like, wow, I need to reach for a lip balm a little bit more often because it really just sucks the moisture out of your lips. Like I said, it actually is transfer proof. So if you are a fan of a traditional liquid lipstick formula, you might actually like this because when it comes down to it, like if I wanted my lipstick to last all day, I'd probably reach for this over more of an old school liquid lipstick because even though they both feel a little bit uncomfortable, I think these go on a little bit better because they are smooth and they feel creamy and they have good pigment. It's almost just a little bit easier to apply them than going in with a traditional liquid lipstick. They have really beautiful shades to choose from. They kind of have like a slight fruity scent. They feel good initially and they are easy to apply and get like a fully opaque finish. It's just that once they dry down, they are very dry feeling, very uncomfortable. But I know some people do like lipsticks that do not move, do not budge, even if they feel a little bit dry on the lips. So for me, they were a fail, but they could potentially work for you. If you like the idea of a long wearing matte lipstick, you don't necessarily need it to be completely, fully transfer proof and just one that feels a little bit more comfortable, I would recommend the Milani I always forget the official name. I think they're the Color Fetish matte lipsticks. These are also very smooth, very highly pigmented. So as you apply them, you get instant color, but they're a lot more comfortable. Again, not fully transfer proof, like they will kind of wear off throughout the day, but they're probably the longest wearing matte lipsticks I have that don't claim to be like fully transfer proof. So I personally prefer a formula like this that's a little bit more comfortable, even if I have to reapply it throughout the day. But I know there are people who do like something that locks down and stays in place. So it just comes down to personal preference with this one. This next product is something that I honestly just regret buying, and I don't know. There might be people out there who like this, but I think overall it really is not the highest quality lip product, and I personally wouldn't recommend picking it up. It's from the Give by Gwen Stefani line. So I actually bought this last year on Black Friday weekend. The entire website I think was like 40, maybe even 50% off. So I picked up a few products from the brand, and I don't know, to be honest, I haven't really tried like a ton of standout products from the brand that I've absolutely fallen in love with, but I also haven't tried a ton of products that I've found to be really poor quality, except for this one. The packaging is really, really beautiful, and I have tried a lipstick from this brand that I got in a Sephora Favorites kit that actually worked really well, but I didn't like this one. This is their Plumping Lip Balm, Spark the Fire Plumping Lip Balm, and I have the shade LOL. This retails for $22. When I initially saw the post about this on Trend Mood last year, I was like, those look really pretty, but I wasn't sure that I could justify like a $22 sheer plumping lip balm. But because I got it on sale for 50% off or 40% off, I was like, I might as well try it out. This product is so sheer that it really doesn't even show up on my lips. And I really don't even have very pigmented lips. So I would say if your lips are darker than mine, this probably won't be an ideal option for you either. They do have some other shades. So when you apply this, it has the texture of a lipstick, but it's like a very firm lipstick. It's not super creamy. It's definitely not balmy, even though they kind of market this as a lip balm. I feel like I have to go over my lips like 10 times to get the product to actually apply to my lips. And even then, it doesn't really feel super moisturizing by any means. Again, especially for something that's marketed as a balm. This is actually painful. It does start to burn and tingle, which I have quite a few plumping lip products and I don't mind a little bit of a tingle, but this one almost feels like I had a little bit of an allergic reaction. Or you know how when sometimes your lips are dry and then you eat something spicy and your lips burn? That's what this feels like to me. Honestly, I do feel like the plumping effect actually works though, because when I apply this product and then I'll be like doing my makeup and I'll go in and apply another lip product, my lips do look visibly plumped up. So I will say it is effective in that area, but because it's marketed as like a lip balm, I don't find that I experience any benefits of a true lip balm. Like it's not moisturizing, it's not smoothing. There are so many other plumping products I've tried that are effective, but also provide benefits that make my lips look and feel better. Personally, I don't recommend this formula. I just find it to be very, very underwhelming. And again, for $22, I just would expect a little bit more. Like I said, her lipsticks are really beautiful. So if you've been thinking about a lip product from the line, I would go with those over this. I don't really have another alternative for this product. Do you guys have anything that you've tried that kind of looks and feels like a lipstick, but more so works as a balm? e.l.f. actually just released these new shimmer balms that I want to try out because those do look like lipsticks and they kind of apply and they're a little bit softer and kind of glittery. Those look really nice. So I'm curious to try those out, but I really wouldn't recommend picking this up. Okay, I really thought this product was going to work for me because I do have such oily skin and I've always been on the hunt for a super mattifying primer because sometimes that's just what my skin needs, especially when it is really hot outside or I'm just going through a phase where my skin is extra oily. And this product could work for you if you have extremely oily skin, but I'm talking like you set your makeup and then, 30 minutes later, your skin is looking oily. If you have combo skin, if you have like slightly oily skin, I probably wouldn't recommend trying this out. It's the One Size Oil Sucker Extreme Mattifying Alkaline Primer. I feel like I've tried every mattifying primer out there, and I can easily say this is the most mattifying primer. It does what it says it's going to do, so I can't really fault the product for that, but I've never tried anything quite as extreme as this. When you apply this to the skin and then you let it kind of like fully sink in, you'll feel this product like slowly sucking all of the moisture out of your skin. It feels like it's like tightening your skin, which, doesn't necessarily sound like a bad thing. I tried something from a skincare brand once that claimed to kind of smooth over wrinkles, and it did something similar. But the thing about this product is, as it's drying and basically like creating this incredibly matte film on your skin, it is enhancing every single pore, every single like minute detail on your face. So if you have any texture, any breakouts, any just unevenness on your skin, it's going to be enhanced when you use this product. If you don't deal with a lot of texture on your skin and you just have extremely oily skin, maybe you'll really like this product. For me, I tend to value more of a smoothing effect when it comes to primers, even over a mattifying effect. Like if I had to really choose, I'd probably go in the smoothing direction, just because I can go in with a matte setting powder, I can blot throughout the day, but I can't necessarily recreate that smooth effect with anything else. Sometimes a setting powder, but not usually to the same effect that I can with a primer. So, it does work. It does what it claims to do. I just feel like it is so extreme, it might be a little bit too much for most people. I will say there's a product from Danessa Myricks that I really like, the Yummy Skin Water Powder Serum. I think this has finally been restocked. It was like out of stock on Sephora's website all summer, but last time I checked, it was back in stock. I think this is a really good alternative if you want something that's a little bit or that's a lot less intense. It does serve a similar purpose. This basically feels like a watery serum. So as you apply it to the skin, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's doing anything, but I feel like you see a difference throughout the day as you're going about your day and your skin doesn't necessarily get as oily as quickly. And what I like about this is it's so lightweight that you can go in with this product and then you can even apply a smoothing primer on top. So it just plays really well with a lot of products. You can use it even without makeup. I'm not a cosmetic chemist. I don't sit here and analyze ingredients very often on my channel, but I will say that like a quick glance at the ingredients, just because I was curious to know the differences between these two, does show that the Danessa Myricks one has some smoothing, even hydrating ingredients in it that the One Size one is missing. So I feel like for me, being in my 30s, I can't necessarily mess around with quite as matte texture enhancing products as I might have been able to in my 20s. And maybe that's the same case for you too. So I'm willing to sacrifice like a little bit of those mattifying properties for something that actually looks and feels better on my skin. And for me, that's this product from Danessa Myricks. So just something I wanted to mention. Okay, this next product is also a complexion product from Milk Makeup. It is the Pore Eclipse Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I talked about this in a recent video, but I wanted to share an update in case you missed that video because this is something that I bought a long time ago. I think I got it during a Sephora sale, maybe even last year. And I had been using it on and off, but honestly, I could never fully decide how I felt about it. In the end, I've come to the conclusion that there are just other setting powders out there that are a lot better. I'm ready to accept the fact that this really doesn't work for me. It's weird because, sometimes I try a product that doesn't work for me and I'm like, that doesn't work for me. But sometimes I try a product and then I try it again and I try it again and I try it again and I can't wrap my mind around the fact that it doesn't work for me. Do you guys ever experience that? I don't know what it is. I think it might potentially be because I've tried the primer from this line and the primer worked really well. And it's not that this is like a terrible powder. There are just other powders I prefer over this one. It is very lightweight on the skin, which is nice. So it feels good. It doesn't necessarily look super powdery, but that's pretty much where it ends for me. It's just underwhelming. It doesn't really mattify my skin or set my foundation into place. When I want a powder to do that, I love the Huda Beauty loose powder. Like that is my go-to. If I was to use Huda Beauty on one side and Milk Makeup on the other, the Milk Makeup side would be like moving around, creasing, getting oily, probably like 4 or 5 times faster than the Huda Beauty one, at least for me. It just doesn't extend the wear of my makeup. It doesn't keep my skin matte. On top of that, it's not smoothing. If you're looking for a good smoothing powder, honestly, I recommend the Makeup by Mario one, the Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. This is the most smoothing setting powder I've ever tried. And I think that's what like kind of finally led me to this conclusion. After using this Makeup by Mario one and, using the Huda Beauty one, I reach for both of those all the time, or I've been reaching for both of these all the time. And every single time I use them, I love how my makeup looks versus when I use this one, I feel underwhelmed. Okay, last product I wanted to mention. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Hyaluronic Acid Watermelon Fruit Extract Makeup Setting Spray. Urban Decay has so many different versions of their All Nighter setting spray, and I don't I haven't tried all of them, but out of the ones I've tried, I always end up preferring the original. I feel like the original works really, really well. And I know they have like a matte version, a glowy version. They have this one. I actually do like a good hydrating setting spray. I'll either use it before I do my makeup or I might use it afterwards. But the thing about this one is it doesn't actually, again, extend the wear of my makeup, which in my mind, that's kind of the main reason I would use a setting spray. I know some people might use a setting spray to actually kind of melt the products together to give them more of a skin-like finish after they used a lot of powders. And if that's the case for you, maybe you would really like this one. And I will say, if you have very dry skin, you might like this one because I have heard from some of you that you find this to be more of a hydrating formula than the original. I don't find it to be super hydrating, but I do have more oily skin. It does have a watermelon scent, which I think is kind of fun, but if you are not a fan of scented products, I would skip over it for that reason. Personally, I like the setting spray from Milk Makeup better than the one from Urban Decay. This is their Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. So you can use it to set your makeup, to refresh your makeup throughout the day, but I also love using it as a priming spray. This one doesn't have a distinct fragrance like this one from Urban Decay, so that might be reason enough for you to go with this one over Urban Decay. But I also find that this one actually feels very hydrating, very refreshing, and it does lock my makeup into place at the same time. I feel like this kind of proves to me that it can be more of a hydrating formula, but can also extend the wear of your makeup. That, I guess, isn't really like that isn't a rare concept because that's the whole point of like gripping primers. They're hydrating and they lock your makeup into place. But for some reason, this one from Urban Decay doesn't do that for me. Like it doesn't hydrate the skin and it doesn't extend the wear of my makeup. So it was just a fail for me personally. I do like the original. I'll stick with that. But when I want more of a hydrating version, this is what I'll go for. There is one last product I wanted to mention, the Essence Meta Glow Duochrome Eye Pencil. So I tried this out in a video a little while ago. I was so excited about this because I just thought it would be a fun way to add a pop of color to my eyes, but it was very, very underwhelming. And then shortly after, it just completely fell out of the packaging. So I really don't recommend picking this up because not only does it not appear duochrome on the eyes, it just really lacks pigment. It didn't really show up on my waterline or my upper lash line. And then the pencil itself just like immediately dried up and fell out. You guys gave me some really good alternatives. I actually haven't purchased any at this point because I feel like I haven't been wearing a ton of color on the eyes unless it's eyeshadow, but I do have some on my list. I actually want to try a lot of products from Moira, and a ton of you said that they have good duochrome eye pencils, also ColourPop and Kaleidos. So those are on my list to try. I'm kind of holding off on a ton of makeup purchases until Black Friday. I do plan on shopping a couple of different brands, so particularly, like there are a couple of ColourPop products I want to repurchase, so I probably will grab one of their duochrome eye pencils when I do place that order. And I do want to purchase some products from Moira because I have gotten so many recommendations to try their products over the years. So I have like a full running list of things I want to try from the brand. So I probably will end up placing an order on Black Friday. This time of the year, like I hold off on buying anything, like things for my house, makeup, like anything I might want to buy because I know in just a few weeks we'll end up seeing like some big discounts from brands. So I am planning on buying a couple of things during Black Friday. But anyway, that's everything I wanted to share with you in today's video. All of the worst products I've tried recently. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do like these types of videos, I'll link a couple of other ones on the screen for you. And I will see you very soon with a new one. Bye.